Hello everybody, this is Sedworth, just showing you guys what I've been working on with the drum machine and sampler combination in Bitwig. Basically, the whole point of what I did is to be able to switch between several different samples in the sampler for purposes of auditioning different sounds or for layering or whatever reason you might have to want to switch. Anyway, this is what it does. Here you hear my kick drum, and I'm going to use these macro controls to switch between several different samples. There's two of them that work, or that drive the whole thing. The micro select here on the right switches between 12 different samples, and this macro select switches between groups of 12. So this is first group, second group, third group, each one of them in here. And I have these loaded with a bunch of factory samples, but really I think most people would want to use their own. So I have a bunch of blank ones too. So basically these are already set up. I have markers in here. These are silent audio files. They're just there so you can see where the groups start. And so if you wanted to, you could take a bunch of samples. Let me find some kick drums on here. Okay, like these ones from the Black Octopus Leviathan set. Let's pick, I don't know, like a bunch of those. You do have to delete these. They're like I said, they're just there to mark groups if you happen to want have a reason to have different groups. Like, you know, they fit together or some other. So I'm just gonna load up a bunch of these. And one more. Yeah. So now I can switch between all these. Let me make sure no, I went too far. Should have kept my marker in there. That's what it's for. They mark the groups and then the last spot that works. So okay. So now you got a drum and not. So I suppose the next thing you want to do is to lay down a fat beat. So here it is. Quit turning off my monitoring, Bitwig. Anyway, you know I love you, but sometimes. Anyhow, so it's like, you know what? I don't actually like this. Okay, that's got some fatness. But you know what? It could be fatter. So we're going to put this in a layer. Make a duplicate. And now switch, pick a totally different sample. And there's some layering tools in here to help you to make this work better. So this one, do a low cut, turn the volume up a little bit. Turn this one down, back off the attack. So now you got a little bit of a layer. Mess with the width. Anyhow, you can do that for any of these pads. What I've included are several things to help do this. I have the fully loaded factory selection. These are all samples that are on the hard drive already. If you have the essentials and extended collections installed in the default spots, it should find them. I also have a blank version where you can fill up your own. I also have just the sampler presets. So if you already have a couple done, you want some more, you can just find them. If you just type my name in here, Sudworth, blank. I have different sizes that fit more or less samples depending on how many you need. And the other thing I have is a workaround for the lack of choke groups for hi-hats. That's this one. This one's a loaded one. But you notice there's nothing in these two because they're in the other layer. These are paired hi-hats. So open and closed of various types. And they choke because it's one sampler set to mono. So this one's a little bit more convoluted on how it works. If you open up this note effects, you see what I had to do to make this work. And those note effects are what are controlled by the macro and micro selection. That sounded like a 909. Because it is. Anyway, so if you need them to choke, you don't mind the open and close being on the same track, because they have to be for this, then you would use the one that says, I don't remember exactly what I named it, but I think it's paired hats or choking hats or something like that. I have a blank version with that setup as well. The difference is, well, first of all, I should explain to you that you actually can move these around. So if I just completely got rid of this and I decided I want my kick drum on C#, it works exactly the same without having to remap these. The difference is, as long as it's in the same octave, you wouldn't have to remap. But if you pass the C, for instance, if I put it up here in the C2, it's now playing the wrong group. To fix that, you would just go to one of these note effects and just drop this down an octave. Now it's back where it should be. It's playing on this key, but it's playing the right group. Anyhow, to switch on these choking hat ones, these are set to the, what is this, C, D, E, F, F sharp and A sharp, which are the sort of the standard MIDI, general MIDI places for open and close hi-hats. If you wanted to move these to a different spot, it takes a little bit more. If there seems to be much interest in people needing to do that, I'll explain it. But if not, if people are happy with them there, then you can just keep them there. Another way to do choking hi-hats and have them be on the same channel, have them be in different layers. I just figured this out, and so I'm adding this to the video. Anyway, there's a second way to do choking hi-hats. This way, though, they're not paired up. They're individual. You can select them individual. Except I'm in the wrong one. That's the closed. This is the open. And they both choke. How you load these ones up is you would take one of these paired ones or the factory hi-hats and just erase every other, or only fill every other. Like for the open, you want sort of the odds, starting with C# and then every other. For the closed, you want this with the C and then every other. And have both set to mono in the same layer with the rest of the drum machine. And you got choking hats that are individually selectable that have their own track. Of course, you get to the tracks, in case you don't know, for the drum machine by going to the mix editor here. You can just open this up. You got all your drum machine spots, and then here you have the hi-hat, which I could just name it closed hat. This one's open hat. And then you can do all your individual individual effects with those. Also, you can automate these different. I'm going to get rid of this layer. You can actually automate this. So I'll show you how that works here. And it's not playing. Oh, because I moved it. You see how it's switching around? There is a little bit of a problem with this that I've ran into. If you're switching a lot, sometimes it'll do a pitch glide even if you have key tracking off and no glide on. It's a bit of a bug. Okay, so now we got this good sample. Let's say we want to keep this. We're gonna say Leviathan kicks. We spell kicks. Okay, it's a kick, so we say it is. You can, I don't know, digital, dirty, clean, whatever, everything. It's great. Now it's like, now let's say you don't want this at all. I actually like the factory ones. You can get to those real easy by just, well, first of all, you gotta set this to kick. Going like this, you get to the factory, or those Leviathan ones I just made. So you can actually make a multi-sample map for everything you have and be able to get to them with this menu right here. I have some blank multi-samples so that you can say you already have one loaded and you want a fresh one. You can just drag them in here. These would not have the macro controls attached because this is just a map. It's not the sampler preset. So that's how that works. The paired hi-hat ones work differently. These, as you see here, you have a closed and then open. Closed, then open, all the way down. That's the way it has to work. For the blank one of that, it's marked just the beginning of groups. As you see, these groups are 24 because they're paired instead of 12, but it's still 12 selections through here. But for each pair is 2. So you'd put the first one, second one, first one, second one, all the way down. That's how you load the paired. There is a problem though with the way I just saved this sample map as kick. The hi-hat category has a bug in it that I've already reported. One of the 3 unique bugs I ran into when I was working on this, which made me think that maybe I was sailing in seldom charted waters. But you know what I mean. Anyhow, the hi-hat category doesn't work. It just plain doesn't work. You can pick hi-hat and the button doesn't work. Doesn't matter what's in here. So that's one issue. The glide is the other issue. And those were the 2 main. The third one is very rare, and I think it's already been fixed with the last update. So I'm not even going to talk about that one. Anyway, thanks for checking it out. Let me know if you have any problems or this is interesting at all to you. And thanks a lot. See you.